Welcome to Fascia Masters Q&A with D&Q, episode 19. How does block therapy melt through scar tissue?
Hi there, my name is Deanna Hansen. I'm a certified athletic therapist and the founder of Fluid Isometrics and Block Therapy.
And my name is Quinn Castellane. I'm the VP of Block Therapy and the lead block therapist.
We talk a lot about scar tissue with block therapy because really block therapy melts through scar tissue. And we always say it doesn't matter if it's scar tissue from injury, surgery, or compression from unconscious posture and breathing. Today though, we're going to be targeting and talking specifically about scar tissue from injury and surgery. And I just want to share my own personal experience. When I was in my early 20s, I had a breast reduction. And it was wonderful at the time because I was completely out of balance and it was not fun. However, that surgery itself, for anybody that's had it, it left scars all the way underneath and up and around. And what happened was those scars started to get sticky on my ribs and they started pulling my rib cage in.
Right.
And I was running at the time. So what I ended up doing is I would take an inhaler to run because I wasn't able to keep that full breath that I had before I had that surgery. So as I started the journey of understanding the fascia system when I was 30 years old, that became an area that I spent a lot of time working on because there was pain there and because also the scar tissue itself was really painful and I could feel with my hands how it was sticky and glued to those ribs. So I spent quite a bit of time working it. And this was before I really understood the system as a whole. And I didn't have block therapy at that time. So it was all just an uncovering of what was going on. But what was amazing was the fact that the scar tissue actually released from the ribs, giving me that full range of motion in my rib cage, that ability to take that deeper breath as I was working out. And also the scars are almost non-visible. So over time, I was able to release the magnetic seal of the scar on the bone, that 2,000 pound per square inch force that we're dealing with. It's magnetic though. And I've understood now how that happened, how I was able to release it through moving in through the pattern that energy basically travels through waves and spirals into that dense tissue, putting space in there, promoting blood and oxygen flow so that we could continue to add space into that very dense tissue that's really lacking space. Scar tissue has no space. It has no elastin, so there's no flexibility. So it becomes this sticky tissue that gravity manipulates more quickly because it's dense. And that's what gravity does. It manipulates dense tissue faster.
And fascia, just so that people understand, is made up of collagen and elastin.
Yes.
So scar tissue has no elastin, it just has collagen.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Just wanted to clarify that.
And so we've worked with lots of people that have had, say, C-sections where, and it's really frustrating too, because if you've had a surgery, you no longer have that ability to integrate those cells that are around it because basically that scar tissue is blocking blood and oxygen flow. So for a lot of women, they end up getting that lower belly pouch, especially after surgeries, which can be very frustrating because you can be working just as hard as before your surgery and now you're not getting the benefits and you're not getting that integration of muscle cells from the work. So what we have learned is how effectively block therapy gets into that tissue. It creates the space, it improves blood and oxygen flow so that we can actually get in there and heal the area properly. And so what was your experience?
Well, other than the ankle, I'm sure you guys heard my ankle story and injury, and that was before I was active with block therapy, and actually before block therapy was really a thing, but was actually my hand, because this was last year, so approximately a year ago. I broke my 4th and 5th metacarpal and they were dislocated. So what I did literally after that happened was I came home and I started working on it, and I put my hand on the block. I was working my forearm, the wrist, just opening up the gates of flow and keeping it moving, which goes against what a lot of people, especially medical people, would say to do. But as I kept up with that, it was like within 4 days later, I was like working and pressing on people, and it was crazy. Like, I was thinking about it, I'm like, man, like I have no pain. I've never had an injury and never had any pain or literally like restrictions where that injured site was. So I was just mentioning before this, it's like, that's crazy. Like, I feel like there's almost more restriction in my left hand than my right because I've worked this so much. So that injury, because I treated it properly, has actually probably made this hand in a healthier state than this one because I brought so much attention and awareness to the hand.
And you ultimately didn't allow scar tissue to develop, because the beauty of working an injury immediately is through the assistance of the inflammation, through helping the inflammation do its job, you actually rebuilt the damaged tissue, as opposed to here's this gap and now we're pulling scar tissue. So if you had casted that hand and you had a mobilization for 4 to 6 or 8 weeks, whatever the time length would have been, your entire arm, that whole alignment would have changed dramatically. And the adhesions, which really is what scar tissue is, again, it's collagen, adhesions from non-use would have developed to that whole system, including the injury site, changing the entire shape of your skeletal structure and how the fascia manipulates and moves around with the cells. So for you to be able to have addressed that injury right away, you didn't even allow your body to develop the scar tissue. So for people that do have it though, the really great thing is you can get into that tissue and you can create change.
Absolutely.
Through that process of putting space and breath and understanding proper alignment, which is really the whole process and system of block therapy.
Absolutely, and every cell, we've mentioned this before, has that opportunity to go back to its original state if we treat it with what it needs and we release the grips and we melt through the compression, and in this case, scar tissue. So that's a really cool thing. No matter where you're at, you can always, always, always improve significantly.
And you know, something that I've also, again, learned over time is how significant, say, the calf is in its alignment. So, you know, sometimes we think, oh, big deal, I had a gash on my lower leg and there's a scar, so, you know, no one really sees it, who cares? It's a huge deal because it's going to continue to bring more tissue to it, because it's like a black hole, you know, gravity
it's like a magnet, just
it is like a
pulling
magnet,
it
exactly.
on.
So that's going to continue to change the alignment of the lower body, which affects everything up the chain. So when you can get to your scars and you can start creating change in them, that is amazing at creating a better fascia health overall in your full body, better cellular alignment, and it's just what we really need for healthy aging lifelong.
Totally. Cool. Well, I think that pretty well wraps up the episode.
I do too.
Awesome. All right. So guys, if you want more information on block therapy and us in general, go to unblockyourbody.com. You're just going to get more information, a couple free gifts for you to get started right away. If you guys want to ask us questions individually, then please use the hashtag AskBlockTherapy so that we can answer them directly on this channel. Or you can email us info@fluidisometrics.com or submit a question through the website. Again, thank you so much for joining us on this Fascia Masters episode. If you like this, give it a thumbs up, and then you can leave any of your comments below.
Breathe and believe.